Coming at you live. No, coming at you on demand from the heart of Europe. This is the most badass hockey podcast in all the known YouTube land. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to A Shot from the Point. Ladies and gentlemen, I have some upsetting news for all of you and all the new subscribers that recently joined us. There will be no show today. If I can explain myself real quickly, you can see the how good I look and how prepared I was to do this. I'm having custody issues here in Germany. I'm having Thanksgiving issues. I have to do the show at 3 o'clock in the morning, Central European time, so I can get a good slot in North America. And between that and having to pick up a car the next morning and driving around, I didn't think that was a really safe thing to do. And I still may have, like I said before, some legal issues to work out with my Thanksgiving holiday with the now 3-year battle to see my daughter regularly. I don't talk about it very much, but to make a long story short, next time you want to say, hey, what's that yank doing over there in Germany? Well, now you know. But this is also unfortunate because in the beginning of the week, on Wednesday, Tuesday, there wasn't much going on. But in the last 48 hours, some major stories in the National Hockey League have broken. And because I'm such a great guy, because I'm that kind of guy, we're going to go over some quick news for the week right now. What do you think of that? I'll tell you what I think of that. What's the news button? Here we go. Yeah. It's the news! Brought to you by the Joe Cronin Show. Joe Cronin! Because he's Joe Cronin, and you're not. Oh, yeah. All right, NHL news for this week. We're going to quickly go over that, and then we're going to get into concussion lawsuits. Of course, the great Jaromir Jagr tied Mario Lemieux this week in game-winning goals. I think that was falsely reported about a month ago on Puck Daddy, but it turns out that he actually made the accomplishment this week. Due to Jonathan Quick's injury, it just may have opened up a spot on the Olympics for none other than the immortal Tim Thomas. Sure to piss off everybody who voted for Obama. Tim Thomas, outside shot to make the Olympic team. And I don't know if I am real comfortable putting him in the Olympic slot, but I tell you something, I can't think of a better story for all the like-think reporters to shove down their throat than Tim Thomas doing well, or, God forbid, bringing home gold. It would just drive the Wyshynskis and Lamperts up a brick wall, and nothing would make me happier. Don't expect to see Thomas in goal, but it's just a pleasant it's a pleasant thought for me. It's funny. It's funny to watch like thinkers get upset. In other news, big hockey news this week. You can see Vlarney over there. Saman Vlarnov. I can never see this cat's name. Vlarnov is been formally charged by the state of Colorado with I didn't write this down. This is to show you how prepared I am. I think it's just second-degree assault. Well, let's just go with assault for now. Of course, it was initially reported that old Vlarney would be facing something to the effect of kidnapping charges. I'm pretty sure I said one in that show that would never stick. Of course, the charges he has is assault. It's I'm not going with second-degree assault, and expect this to be pled down. The assault or the kidnapping charges were ridiculous. What happens, folks, is what prosecutors like to do. Their job is to put you in jail. It's not about what's right, it's wrong, or wrong. It's their job is to put you in jail. So what they do is they inflate the charges, so you have to come down and accept another one. They knew they weren't going to get kidnapping, but they definitely could get this because it sounds like the girl has bruises, and that's going to be a little tough for Blarney to get around. Expect a guilty plea with no jail time. He does face his first day in court on December 2nd, and expect him to be in the Olympics as well. So, yeah, Blarney should be there. I don't know. Like you say, oh no, he's referring to the poor victim as a gold digging bitch. I don't know that. I don't know what's going on here. I think the evidence shows that thus far, and assuming it's being reported correctly, that at very least, our Colorado Avalanche really spectacular having season goaltender is very least maybe guilty of some kind of assault. We'll see when the trial starts. So I'm going to reserve my judgment on this girl. I do find the whole situation really strange. And, sometimes being a celebrity doesn't work to your advantage. You get the thing where you can kind of get around it with your money, and you also get the thing where they might over-prosecute you. Like if I got an assault charge, I may only do some community service. Whereas if someone else got a celebrity got a assault charge, then you might actually see him do some time to show that they're tough on crime, and everybody's the same. So it would be interesting to see what old Blarney runs into in the upcoming months of the hockey season. I would be remiss if I didn't bring this up, and then we're going to end it right here. The NHL, it was bound to happen, and many shows we've covered. Shows about fighting, shows about media trying to soften the game. Well, the first chink in the armor is here. The NHL has received a class action lawsuit from 10 former players related to failure to protect them on head injuries. Let me read you something from Puck Daddy. This is what some of the players claim that the this is not going as well as I'd even hoped it would. I hoped it would go bad and funny, but it's not even going that well. So, that really frosts my onions. I don't know. I just made that up. Don't give me a second here. Give me a second. So I think I can get on this, and it should be on the Who Are. Yeah, man. I swear I looked this up. Okay. No. That's not it. Well, I don't have the information in front of me to show you how prepared I am, and I'm exhausted. But let me. This was coming. We could have saw this coming 10,000 miles away. Recently, the NHL shelled out about $500 billion to really shut up NFL players that said they were the NFL hid information when they were playing football in their football days, and I guess left them unprotected. From what I understand thus far, and I'm just getting the information now, this is a lot of what these players are alleging right now, that the NHL hid information. Here's the thing that I don't understand about what would be in 1997. Pat LaFontaine was given a special. That was a long time ago, 1997, by the way. In 1997, Pat LaFontaine was issued a protective helmet when he was told that he probably couldn't play anymore, and the Rangers took a chance on him. And he first year they wore this uniform, by the way. He was told that I think it was. He was told that he probably shouldn't be playing anymore. He has serious concussions, could have long-term damage. One more, you're out. The Rangers supplied him with a special helmet. Unfortunately, he did receive another concussion and retired towards the end of the season. Great career, Pat LaFontaine, who is currently head of player operations in the Buffalo Sabres organization. I remember hearing about concussions and the severity of long-term effects. And the NHL, in my opinion, was the first league to talk about it all the way in the late 90s. I do not understand how the NHL could have hid information in 1991, in 1994. I'm just going through the years that some of these hockey players played. 1986, 1983, 1976, the year I was born. How is the NHL responsible for information that was not publicly available? How did they hide that? In fact, I remember them being the first league that showed the most interest in it. This falls in line for massive rule changes because there really isn't any way to play the game as we know it, or the game the way it was intended, without risking a concussion. Sidney Crosby recently told Bob Costas that he really doesn't think about it too much, to Bob Costas' surprise, because Bob Costas set Crosby up to be a victim, and Sidney Crosby didn't bite, which is a miracle. I can't believe it. And Crosby said that he doesn't really think about his next concussion. He's got to go on and survive and go into the dirty places and what have you, which, does he? I don't know. That's another story. But hats off to Sidney Crosby. How could the National Hockey League know what was not known? Now, I don't know the specifics of the NFL situation. So you mean to tell me that in the 80s, the NFL had information about long-term concussions and how damaging they can be, when most of this is new science? Most of this is new. Sports Illustrated even reported last year that CTE, the disease associated with concussions, is not a definite. And as Gary Bettman pointed out to the New York Times a few months back when he was being interviewed about the death of Derek Bugner, there's only one way to find out. You want to volunteer? Not me. So there's no real connection as of yet. Could there be? Yeah, more than likely. I'm not going to bash these players too much. They all do seem to be like enforcers or lower level players. But I got the feeling that it's the Marlboro Man suing the company that he smoked and did pictures for. It's a very similar situation. These players saw the payout that the NFL players, and they're simply trying to cash in. Whatever was not known in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, one thing was certainly known all those years, that hockey is an extremely dangerous sport, and always has been, and always will be, as long as it currently looks like a hockey game. There is no way that they didn't know something bad could happen to them. They were probably more worried about being slashed or their eyes cut open and things of that nature. But I don't see, and if somebody wants to explain this to me, how the NHL is responsible for information they more than likely did not have in the 1970s, in the 1980s, and early 1990s. And before that, hey, why stop there? Why not sue the KHL? Why not sue the AHL? Why not sue your squirt hockey team? These were all dangerous. As soon as you started to play the game, when body checks were thrown. Why is the NHL just responsible? Somebody explain that to me. I don't really understand that. Are these guys just cashing in, or were they victimized? I really don't see these men as victims. I'm not going to question their claims, and I'll tell you why I won't. Because I've got a lot of friends that made a lot less money that got these injuries, like post-traumatic head syndrome, memory loss, lack of concentration, post-traumatic stress syndrome, who made a lot less money than these guys. and they serve in the United States Army, and some of them are my personal friends. And I saw the damage. I don't see them suing. Now, you might want to say, oh, that's different because, you're serving your country and this is just a game. Well, here's the thing. You knew it was dangerous going in. And it looks like you're just trying to cash in. The hell with the game. The hell how you made your living. I mean, what's next? Boxers, UFC being sued? And don't think that's off the table. I hope the NHL fights it. And I think they will, and I'll tell you why. They're not going to do what the NFL did. First of all, Roger Goodell is a mental midget compared to Gary Bettman. And if the math is there, whether if they lose the lawsuit, they would lose more than if they paid it off. So it really comes down what the math is. They will pay these guys off if they think it just makes the problem go the way, and it's the short-term cheapest. But if they think they're going to lose money long-term by paying off, or actually maybe even lose a franchise, let me tell you something. The NHL cannot afford to shell out $700 million. Whatever the cheaper route is. And I have a feeling the NHL can't come up with that kind of money without losing a franchise. So effectively, these guys would be threatening guys that are currently working in their former union. That's right. Bet you didn't think of that. They probably don't care. I have a feeling the NHL will fight, and I hope they fight as hard, and Gary Bettman uses all those powers that he does for the last 3 lockouts and strikes and whatever you want to call them, because he is a no BS guy. And I think they're going to put the NHL into a position where they're going to have to take this to court. And where that court case will involve more than just that. That court case will involve the future of contact sports and the legality of contact sports in America. What to expect from now? We said it earlier in the season. I mean, the press, the media has basically set the tone for it. You can forget fighting. This is it. The National Hockey League is controlled by the United States of America. Not the federal government, but American businessmen. It's been that way for some time now. The Canadians really don't have much control over it because the Canadian economy doesn't really permit billionaires to come to power and buy the National Hockey League. The United States does. We have more wealth, therefore we get the big leagues. And it's really unfortunate because we're going to take your sport right away from you, and it's not going to look like anything you grew up with or anything you intended because of this garbage. Because of these, I think, and maybe will be proven later, selfish players. Extremely selfish players. I'm actually, I'm pretty disappointed by the whole thing, but I knew it was coming. So expect rule changes on hits. Expect rule changes on fighting. Fighting's gone. It's finished. They can't afford it, because especially if they have to shell out to these guys. Because if they admit guilt, and most of these guys are enforcers, that's it. They can't afford to allow fighting. But here's the best part. This is another reason why the NHL should fight. The NHL should fight because if they give money, it's just there's going to be 10 more players and 100 more players. And then the other leagues and the other sports are going to do the same thing. It's just going to be a cash cow. Exactly the way the cigarette companies were able to be sued for years and still attacked by the government and what have you. It will never stop unless you win in court. And the precedent is set that you are responsible for yourself and you take a risk by playing an extremely dangerous contact sport like ice hockey. So you got to go to court and you got to win. Otherwise, you will keep paying these guys off, and it will never stop. I hope they fight. But whether they fight or not is going to be irrelevant because fighting is gone. There may be major equipment changes. There might be a lot of rules like you see in the NFL. Like you can't tuck when somebody's going to hit you in the open field. Ridiculous rules that don't protect anything, but they're supposed to make you feel like they do. Oops. That's what you're looking at. this is what I would have discussed today if had I had the show. And I don't know. It wouldn't have been terribly funny, but this is what we're looking at, folks. The NHL is going to change, and I think our lives in North America, the way we view contact sports, is going to dramatically change. We have the media against us. The traditional male has been under attack for the better part of 5 years now. They don't want you playing contact sports. And this is one of the ways they do it. They do it through the legal system. And these guys are the patsies. Blair Stewart, Morris Titanic, Bob Mando, Gary Lehman, Warren Holmes, Richie Dunn. These are the men that are going to change the way hockey is. Because more than likely they couldn't manage their money. They don't care. They had their time. I don't care. It's about them. Apparently they can't accept the responsibility of, risking yourself. And yet soldiers come back out without legs all the time and risk it for less money. So I don't really understand that. So more than likely these guys mismanage their money. I have no doubt that they're damaged. But that's what you get when you play hockey. When you were born, no one gave you a guarantee on how this thing was going to work out. You get a little education, and you have to make your decisions based on your education, how you see the world. And they chose to play hockey. Why don't you sue your parents? They're the ones that sent you to Pee-wee camps. They are the ones that sent you to hockey camp. They're the ones that were told, hey, in order to make in the NHL, Morris Titanic is going to have to fight. And what did the parents say? Yes. Oh, no, they didn't say, get my kid out of here. No, I don't want my kid going through that. I don't want him to be crippled when he's older. They didn't. They pushed you through and proud. So I guess now's the time to take it back. Get yours. Like I said, this is the Marlboro man suing Marlboro. Whatever was not known then about the long-term damage of concussions, I fail to see how that's somebody else's responsibility. All it is unfortunate. And you're not the only guys that played the game, got hurt, and have to live a little harder than the rest of us. And I'd be honest with you, I would trade my place for just half a season in the National Hockey League, as would most of the people that are listening to this. All right, everybody, I'm going to cancel it. That's my rant, my speech, my thing. Stay tuned for Shot from the Point next week at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is Shot from the Point live. Shot from the Point live, bitches. That's what we do. The great, legendary comedian Jake Link. Boston Troy. And, of course, Joe Cronin, the Joe Cronin Show. All my point men say look on the wacky side of hockey. That's right. And speaking of Joe Cronin of the Joe Cronin Show, check him out. His YouTube channel is linked on my main page for all the latest wrestling news, discussion. He has a first-rate call-in show. Currently has a YouTube strike, but that's no big deal because you can flip on his site right over to his YouTube stream site. So Google him at Joe Cronin Show, Ustream, and then flip over to his channel on YouTube. I tell you that I don't belong there. Flip over to his channel on YouTube, and then it'll lead you the way to Ustream. That's where he broadcasts live because of a bogus strike he got against him from WWE. From a video that he did several years ago. That's Joe Cronin of the Joe Cronin Show. JohnFreemanMusic.com, JohnFreemanMusic.com, JohnFreemanMusic.com. John Freeman is the official musician for the Shot from the Point program. Check out John Freeman at JohnFreemanMusic.com. That's right. Check out, like I said, Troy on Twitter at I Need a One Up. You can check me on Twitter at Tommy C SFTP. Tommy C SFTP. Jake Link Comedian on Twitter. He is Jake Link Comedy. And Joe is Joe Cornin Show. That's where you get us. You can also subscribe to the channel for weekly podcasts and bloopers and highlights of all the greatest stuff going on in the National Hockey League. Right here on Shot from the Point. Subscribe. And once you subscribe, like and share. Like the show, share the show. Let people know. You also catch me on Facebook. Shot from the Point and other crap. Check me out on Facebook. The links are all below. They're all below. And make sure you come back next week for Shot from the Point Live. All right. That's it, everybody. Thanks for joining me. I'd like to hear your feedback on my little rant. And supposedly we'll get the comedy rolling next week for more Shot from the Point madness. I apologize. Way too much going on the holiday. We'll do a few more episodes before the Christmas holiday. We'll shut down and come back right for the Winter Classic and the Olympics. So see you next week, Eastern Standard Time. Like the show, share the show. JohnFreemanMusic.com, Joe Cronin Show, Troy, comedian Jake Link. We'll see you next week. Thank you very much, everybody. See ya.
Yeah.
Back to you guys.
It was a clean hit. It was a clean hit. It was a clean.
I don't know. I'm wearing pink and kissing guys. Anyhow.
Well, then get the fuck out of here then.